Come learn the origin of animal mate preferences and a fun but silly connection to a Deep Space Nine episode starting now. Hello, my name is Mohammed Noor. I'm a biology professor at Duke University, and I'm an occasional science consultant for the Star Trek universe. I'm very excited to talk with you today about the origin of animal female mate preferences. Why is it that females of many animal species have a specific yet heritable preference for a trait or a color or something like that among prospective mates? And we're going to talk about it today in the context of a Deep Space Nine episode where a female character had to choose among two potential mates who were quite different from each other. So without further ado, let's get started. So today's focus will be on the Deep Space Nine episode, Dr. Bashir, I Presume, from Season 5. In that episode, both Dr. Louis Zimmerman and a Ferengi named Rom are competing to win the affections of the Bajoran lady, Leeta. Despite Rom being slow to express his feelings for Leeta, Leeta is much more attracted to Rom than to Dr. Zimmerman. So the question today is why? In many animal species on Earth, females pick males with an elaborate display, and these preferences are often genetic, but why do specific female mate preferences exist? So there are a lot of theories, and these fall under the broad heading of sexual selection. A simple explanation is that females prefer males that somehow help them directly, giving them an evolutionary advantage. For example, in the fruit fly Drosophila SUBOBSCURA, courting males offer a gift of nutritious vomit to females to try to entice them to mate. So choosing a male with a larger vomit gift provides a direct nutritional benefit to the female. Somehow, this tactic hasn't worked for me. In many species, females also prefer males that are visibly healthy and avoid ones that look sick. And again, there's benefit to staying away from potentially sick males. Now, some advantages to mate preferences may be less obvious and may even be unrelated to mating itself. So females of some animal species have a genetic preference for traits like a shape or a color. Now, for example, there's a South American guppy that eats orange fruits. Unsurprisingly, females of that species are drawn to the color orange. But males have taken advantage of this by evolving these orange spots, thereby getting females to come close to them and increasing their mating success. So these kinds of female preferences are called sensory biases. And it's neat because the female preference exists in the species even before the trait first appears in males. Then, when a male happens to get the trait by mutation, the trait gets passed on to lots of the kids because of the mating advantage. So that leads me to another kind of sexual selection that's even more complicated. Imagine a species where certain females have a genetic preference for a trait in males, like color blue. Now, there's no real advantage to this preference. They just choose blue. Other females don't really care. They're not choosy. So I'm going to label the gene variants on these beetles with C for choosy or NC for not choosy. Now let's say some males have that blue color, and let's say that every female mates and has 2 kids total. The non-choosy females will mate at random, sometimes with blue, sometimes not. And the choosy ones will only have kids with the blue males. So let's look at what the kids inherit. The non-choosy females will have sons that basically reflect the original set of dads. The choosy female sons are all blue, like their dads. So blue in males is sexier on average, making blue now more common in that next generation. But what's interesting is that the choosy gene variant is now often in the same individuals that have the blue color variants. So in later generations, those sexy blue males pass on not just the blue color gene variant, but also the choosiness gene variant to their daughters and granddaughters. So over the long term, as the preferred blue trait spreads, the choosiness gene variants often get passed on with them. Essentially, the choosiness gene variant has an indirect advantage because it becomes associated with its preferred trait, and choosiness becomes more common too. This is called sexy son sexual selection. Pretty cool, huh? Now, these are just some explanations for the origins of female mate preferences, and many other possible explanations are out there. Here are just a couple. Returning to this episode, Leeta, who's a Bajoran, prefers the Ferengi Rom over Dr. Zimmerman. Now, we don't know why that's the case, but here's a silly theory, but one loosely based on some real biology. There's a popular Bajoran dish called hasperat. It looks a little bit like a wrap. Now, if you look at that shape, it does look a little bit like Ferengi ears. So maybe Leeta had a sensory bias towards Rom's appearance, causing her to spend more time with him and eventually to fall in love with him. We may never know. Anyway, recapping, females of some animal species inherit mating preferences for specific traits in males. Those mate preferences may have direct benefits for the females, or they may have direct benefits unrelated to mating, or may even spread because of an indirect benefit or association. More fun science to talk about in the context of Star Trek. Had you heard of these theories of sexual selection before? And what did you think of this fun Deep Space Nine episode? Let us know in the comments. Before you click away, stay tuned for just a moment to read a bit about some very important and really cool fundraising done by Chase Masterson, the actress who plays Leeta in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. See you next time.